Welcome, Dr. James Beckett, Sports Card Insights, here with an episode of my interview with Brad Bethune, the Texas card dude. We started talking at just a shorter weekend episode, but we had some time and it just had some minutes to talk about this GradeA.id. I don't know that he said it was a pre-beta, but it's an idea that he'd been batting around. I'd been batting around. I thought that'd be fun for us to talk about it. And so here it is for your listening pleasure. So thanks sponsors, Topps Panini, Upper Deck, Heritage Auctions, Huggins Scott Auctions, Mike Stadium Sports Cards, Burbank Sports Cards, ComC.com, and Beckett Media, Beckett Grading, Beckett Authentication. So thanks, Brad, for our discussion, and thanks, listeners, for listening. If you've got ideas for things you want in episodes, just email me at drjamesbeckett@gmail.com, and I'll do them with a guest if you recommend, or yourself if you have an idea and you'd like to talk about it. Just let me know, and we'll see what we work out. Thanks again. Brad, you and I are going to talk about GradeA.id. We both saw the news release on it, which I regarded as more of a press release. I tried to dig down, wasn't able to get very far, other than they had a very brief demo video, which was stretching Gaudis out of their true shape. And it sounded like an interesting concept. And when you and I have been talking, you've mentioned that you were thinking along those lines as well. Dare I say a pre-grading digital app?
So a tool, nothing that mind-blowing, but a tool to help people decide whether or not they want to grade and whether or not, and that's what I figured that they were, but I was able to find a couple of press releases and a couple of more marketing ideas and a little bit more information on them. And what I found was they're literally trying to be a tool to help you decide if you want to grade a card, should you grade a card, and where to send it the best option for to get the best grade, to get the best value, because it also looks like they're going to try to plug into marketplaces to show you what your card would grade at and what the marketplace might be. So there's a lot of things there that they're trying to do to unpack that I dig.
No, you like what they're trying to do. Do you have any doubt that they will be able to do this in the next month or two or 6? You have some technology background, and what they're doing is noble, or what they're trying to do. But do you think it's imminent? Because what they're saying they're going to do is not easy.
Yeah, they've got a couple of limitations just by reading what they're trying to do. They're trying to create a topographical map of the card through taking a picture. The picture's only as good as your camera. So if you've got an iPhone 12, then yeah, you're going to get a better picture than an iPhone 6. And then you're going to need multiple angles of the card or pictures of the angles of the card to be able to catch the true surface. That's my biggest concern if you were with trying to create a topographical map of a card without actually having the physical cards. That's probably one of my biggest concerns.
People think of cards being two-dimensional, but they're really three-dimensional. But
right.
Topography really is talking about 3 dimensions. And there's a print bubble or some kind of a gash or something, you ought to be able to see that. But my point that I've raised is that the edges are a little bit of a challenge, I think, for some of these pre-grading type app approaches. Would you see that would also be a problem besides surface? They wanted to make a big deal about centering and corners, and those are things that a machine can probably do. And they could see BGS is more critical of centering, or PSA is more critical of centering, or SGC is more critical of cornering. But edges and surface, problematic, I think.
Yeah, you and I talked about this very briefly, and I've had a little bit of time to really noodle on this. When you start increasing magnification on a corner, everything's going to look fuzzy. One of the things that they're trying to do is take copies of various 10, 9s, and 8s throughout every single company and then tell them, hey, this corner is a 10. Well, that's subjective. It's not a 10. A corner on a 10 on one card could not be a corner of 10 on another card. Or you got a 10 on a Topps Chrome card is going to look something completely different than a 10 on a Topps Heritage card. So that in and of itself, the cut is going to be different. So how can you justify a 10 on one and a 10 on another? That's where the human eye has to come into play, or the comparison. That's another one of the concerns of mine, but it's not impossible.
But do you think people are willing to chill or relax on that all 10s are not fungible? They're not all the same. PSA 10s for sure. BGS 10s or black labels, presumably that's perfection across the board, but an SGC has gold labels and things like that. But agreed, it's a problem.
I think it's understood in the hobby that a 10's not truly a 10. Look at the cards that have come out, and you've got.
Let's buy the card, not the holder. I hope people agree with that. But if this GradeA.id, again, very reasonable idea. I just think it's going to be hard to pull off if you think of it as a pre-grading technique. Here's another thought that I had with melding with one of the other things, and I don't know all the details of your technological background, but I think I've been thinking about this wrong. When they talk about fingerprinting a card, and that's probably more the gentleman thing, but fingerprinting the card doesn't mean dipping your finger in fingerprint ink and putting it on the back of the card and having your unique fingerprint of the grader on the back of the card. I think it means, or putting a micro dot, which has been done before, actually. You can't really see it, but if you know where to look, it's there. But I think what they mean is under extreme magnification, the dot patterns and the splotchiness of the ink is unique.
Yes.
So my point with that is that Gentleman, I think, was talking about some pretty sophisticated hardware that would be located at PSA. GradeA.id is talking about a cell phone app, a smartphone app, with the limitations of they're great cameras in one sense, but they're not at that level, I don't think.
Yeah, two very good things to unpack. Within a dot and a dot, you can take a laser and put in a logo or whatever, because when you blow up an image enough, or when you blow up to a microscopic level, there's space within there. They do it now in diamonds. They do it now in other areas. So it's not really that difficult to blow up an image and laser engrave a dot or something like that in between the ink dots. There are going to be bleed up, but there's going to be some areas where the ink dots or the print or whatever has a spot where you're going to be able to put that. So yes, you can do it. The technology can do it. It's just not cheap to do it. So that was fingerprinting, but I do agree that every card needs to have some sort of fingerprint or even serial number or whatever.
Like I said, if you could determine that this card is the same as this other card that was submitted to another service or earlier, then that would be a service that also would be positive with the hobby. I just think that's hard to do with a cell phone and hard to do with an app where you're maybe not even holding the card.
I think the app's just a tool. It's a starting place to help people more than it is a standard.
Well, I think we agree that it's an exciting time to be in this hobby, with a lot of people coming in with fresh ideas and trying to improve and use current technology to help us enjoy the hobby even more.
That's right. As long as everybody, you do you, boo, and hobby your way.
Hobby your way. Great note, Brad Bethune, Texas Card Dude. Thanks again for sharing your insights, and collectors will be back again Monday with another episode.